Let me tell you a story about how a HOA fined me for walking my dog and how I turned the tables so hard. They lost access to the very land they thought they ruled. After years of burnout running a tech consulting firm, I sold my business and moved to a quiet neighborhood outside Denver. Semi-retirement, fresh mountain air, and long walks with my golden retriever. Max, that was the dream. Max is 10 years old, a gentle goofball who still thinks he's a puppy. He was with me through my darkest days. And now that I had time, our walks became a daily ritual. My house backed onto a wooded trail. The realtor assured me it was a shared amenity, open to all residents. No sign said dogs weren't allowed, and other neighbors jogged or walked their pets there too. For the first few weeks, life was peaceful. Then, one morning, came her. She stepped in front of us like she owned the trail, a petite woman in yoga gear, arms crossed, and a face that screamed permanent disapproval. She introduced herself as Patricia, the HOA president, and launched into a rant about me breaking HOA rules. My crime: walking Max on the trail. When I asked for specifics, she claimed dogs damaged the environment and that I hadn't introduced myself to the board, so I wasn't authorized to use community resources. It sounded like nonsense, and it was. The HOA handbook had no rule against dogs on the trail, and no one ever mentioned mandatory introductions. But a week later, I received a $250 fine. $150 for animal damage and $100 for unauthorized trail usage. I appealed, only to be humiliated at a public HOA meeting where Patricia and her cronies mocked me and called Max a threat to children. The board turned the neighborhood against me, handing out fines like candy, one for Max's leash being too long, another for leaving a tennis ball in my own yard. It became clear this wasn't about rules. Patricia ran the HOA like her personal kingdom, backed by a clique that thrived on control. I wasn't just an outsider with a dog, I was a threat to their authority. But I wasn't some pushover. I knew bullies, and I knew how to fight back. Curious about the land behind my home, I did some digging, and I hit gold. The trail and surrounding 3-acre woods weren't even owned by the HOA. They were still property of the original developer, who was offloading remaining parcels to cut tax losses. I saw my opening. I contacted them through a lawyer and made a quiet cash offer. To avoid tipping off Patricia, I used an anonymous LLC. Within a few weeks, the trail was mine. But I didn't strike right away. I waited. And then, like clockwork, Patricia announced a community unity picnic on the trail. Exclusive, of course. Only dues-paying members with no violations could attend. She even ordered picnic tables and decor, all to impress her little fan club. The day of the event, I stood at the entrance with a sheriff, a land surveyor, and a copy of my deed. When Patricia tried to waltz in, I stopped her. "This is private property now," I said. "You're trespassing." She laughed. Then she screamed, Then she claimed the land belonged to the HOA. But the sheriff confirmed my ownership. And when she argued the LLC owned it, I showed proof I owned the LLC. Her face drained of color. I revoked HOA access on the spot. Per their own handbook, if land isn't HOA owned, they need written permission to use it. Which, of course, I wasn't giving. After the failed picnic, I put up signs, private property, no HOA access. Another read, dogs welcome. Humans must be on leash. I didn't block everyone. I even started hosting weekly dog days, free events for dog owners, with off-leash play, music, and snacks. Max was in heaven. Meanwhile, Patricia and her crew banned. Unless they brought a dog. Of course. She tried to sue. It backfired. The court upheld my ownership, and her plan to privatize the trail for HOA elites came to light. 3 board members resigned. The HOA quietly dropped all my fines. All this could have been avoided if Patricia had just let me walk my dog in peace. Instead, she learned what happens when you pick a fight with someone who has time, money, and zero patience for bullies. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Ever had a run-in with a petty HOA? Let's hear your story.